What's up, gamers? It's your boy Maple Sumo here for Haru Basho Day 10. I hated that. I hope you do too. Let's get a quick update on our boy Enho. Now, I haven't said anything in a couple of updates because I didn't want to jinx it, and it worked. Enho is 4-1. So, depending on how many people get demoted out of Juryo, he could be going up. He's at, Makuuchi 4. Depending on how many people drop, he's in, but I would like to see him get one more win to, like, almost guarantee it. So great job for Enho. He's doing this all on a broken frickin' foot. The guy's a machine. So this should be him getting into Juryo to get his final salaried tournament, which will let him purchase Elder Stock, and then he can retire, become, maybe take over the old a retired stable. There's the former Hakuho Miyagino stable that's right now under Isegahama. Maybe they could roll it back out, reopen the stable, bring guys like Hakunofuji back from Isegahama. And obviously, there's been some bad blood there, but who knows? I'd love to see it, but right now it's a matter of just making sure he secures that one more win. I hope he doesn't rest on his laurels right now. Next up, Chiyoshoma at 5-4. Coming up against Kodo Eho, 6-3. This starts off our Makuuchi bouts. Chiyoshoma gets in an outside right quickly, but Kodo Eho gets a hand on him and drags him backwards with his own inside left, pulls him off balance and into a Shitate Nage underarm throw. Great work for him there. Wakanosho at 8-1, coming up from Juryo to face Nishiki Fuji 4-5. Wakanosho is the co-leader today in Juryo. They go into a full blasting epic thrusting battle, which pushes Nishiki Fuji all the way back to the edge, but he rallies, fights back, and then gets him right back to the opposite edge and out to claim his 5th win. Wakanosho falls back out of the Juryo leader race at 8-2, but if I know anything about Juryo, it's that 2 losses is almost nothing. You can win the title there with 4. Who knows? Tobizaru at 3-6 comes up against Takayumi at 4-5. Now, Tobizaru leads this matchup 10-4 in the past. He comes in with a weird two-handed thrust attack we haven't really seen out of him, but Takayumi gets a hand on the neck, drags him around the ring with it, and eventually gets an underhook and forces him out at the edge. So Takayumi pulls even at 5-5. Fuji Ryoga comes up against Asanoyama. Both men were currently at 5-4. Fuji came in low, but Asanoyama has yet to lose to this guy. He stays cool, calm, and collected. He's patient. He gets his right hand deep inside and then lowers himself and chugs him out for the win. So great work on Asanoyama's part. The former Ozeki is putting in good rank and file work. I don't see him getting back into the Sanyaku anytime soon, but so far he looks very passable where he is. Shishi at 5-4 comes up against Kinbozan 4-5. Kinbozan comes in low and hard, dives at the throat, drives him back, sets him up for a quick reversal and a slap down to put both men at an even 5-5. Just solid sumo from Kinbozan, using those long arms of his to his advantage. Asahakuryu at 6-3 comes up against Osho Umi at 2-7. These guys collide headfirst in the center, both men grabbing each other, going chest to chest, and basically wrestling back and forth, trying to lift each other out. Asahakuryu seems to have the advantage in strength here, but Osho Umi uses a hooked leg to counter the first throw attempt. But again, Asahakuryu gets him closer to the edge, lifts him again, and then eventually spins and dumps him into an Watanage to nail in that 8-loss kachi-koshi for Osho Umi. I feel for the guy, but you start the tournament that far behind. It's kind of inevitable. So the first of our co-leaders, Gonoyama at 8-1, comes up against Asakoryu 6-3. Now, Asakoryu's got a really weird tachi right now, where he's got his left hand like super close to his body for a long time, and eventually extends it down, but doesn't quite touch the dohyo like he's supposed to every time. But they seem to be okay with letting him do that. It gets close, he's set up and solid. Technically, the rule is, the sumo starts by like mutual consent. They're both ready to go when they just start. So all the wrestlers seem fine with him just being like close enough, and the Gyoji haven't stopped him yet. Now this time they did. Gonoyama comes charging out, and the Gyoji immediately calls for a mata, a restart. But you see in that first start, Asakoryu immediately tries to pull a henka. And so the jig is up on that front. They reset. And on the second attempt, Gonoyama plows into him, drives him straight to the edge. And now, instead of doing what he's been doing all tournament and continuing and forcing him out, he then reverses, takes a long run back, and pulls him down. He gets the win, but we've seen in the past when Gonoyama tries to switch and pull instead of just using his forward momentum and strength, he runs into trouble. So I hope this isn't a sign of something strange to come. I think he needs to stick to his fundamentals, stick with what's been working. This is a risky move that paid off, but I don't want to see him trying to pull again for the rest of the tournament. I think he needs to keep going forward. Fuji Seiyun at 6-3 comes up against Roga 3-6. Fuji goes for the throat, keeps Roga off the belt, eventually gets a right hand deep, wrangles him to the edge before wrapping a leg around him and pushing him over in a kiri-kaeshi, a twisting backward knee trip. I love it. I love seeing more of the judo type throws and trips and belt work in the wrestling here. I'm not a big fan of pushing and thrusting or just, grabbing and hugging and chugging. I really like seeing the more technical wrestlers, which is why I like guys like Enho, because at his size he has to be. But yeah, Fuji Seiyun does a great job here. He's now 7-3, 1 win away from his kachi-koshi in his first ever top division tournament. Great work. Oshoma at 4-5 comes up against Tamawashi at 2-7. Tamawashi just charges straight in, gets under the armpits, and quickly forces out Oshoma for now the 6th time in a row and avoids his makuuchi. He's got a hard road ahead of him, and he's going to get 5 more wins this tournament. But I'm grateful to see him sort of fend it off for one more tournament. People have been suspecting, given his performance levels, that he's kind of just riding things out until maybe May, when another Elder Stock will open up for him to take. But also, he's not that far off like the lifetime consecutive lead. He's had the most matches in the upper division, but he doesn't have the most consecutive. So he's got a bit of a way to go, like about 100 more fights to get there. And I think he can survive in the lower ranks of the Maegashira for a while to pull it off. But obviously he can't risk losing too much and falling too low. He's not going to be there forever if he keeps this up. So good to see him there. I mean, it seems like he's got like 1 or 2 tournaments a year with a big spurt. He got an 11-4 last year, and then he's kind of slowly fallen down the Banzuke into an area where he's more comfortable. So I think that's a good strategy if it is intentional. Next is Ura at 4-5 versus Takanosho at 2-3-4. Now, these guys have traded a pair of wins each in the past. And this time, Ura comes in low and deep, quickly trying to force him out from up close. He actually buries his head super deep into his chest and then under the armpit for some reason. Now, we've seen him in the past. He's got this, like, reversing backdrop move that like only a couple of people have done ever, and he was like the first person like 50 years to do or something ridiculous like that. And then sometimes he just tries to force it, I think, to appease the fans or look good or keep himself from being bored. I don't know why. But this case, it just sets him up for a leg trip from Takanosho, which costs him the win, but also costs Takanosho. There is some clear pain on his face when he's down on the ground. He's slow to get up, and he really can't put weight on that foot as he tries to get off the dohyo. I mean, you can see him keeping the toe off the ground. All of his weight's in his heel. He needs assistance. So I know he's really like gritting his teeth and getting through it right now, but like if he wants to get a winning record, 5 wins while that banged up is a long road to hoe. So we'll see how it goes over the next couple of days. Ichi Yamamoto comes up against Toki Hayate, both men at 4-5. Ichi uses his long arms, keeps him off the belt, forces him to the edge and out. Now, there was a Mono-e thinking that maybe Toki Hayate had forced him to the ground before stepping out of the edge, and it was very close, but the decision stood. Toki Hayate stepped out before Ichi Yamamoto fell to the ground, pushing him out. So, good one for Ichi. Shodai at 6-3 comes up against the next of our leader pack, Koto Shoho at 8-1. Now, Koto's only beaten him once in their last 8 meetings, and this match showed why. Shodai, again, the Lord of Chaos, decides today he's going to just be an unstoppable force, comes forward hard, fast, shoves Koto Shoho out quickly for the win. Great work for him. He, again, only needs 1 more win for his Makuuchi. Koto Shoho falls back into the chase pack. Next is Wakataka Kage versus Fujinokawa, both at 4-5 right now. This is the first time they've ever fought. Fuji gets under the arms, but Wakataka Kage just sort of covers him, makes sure he can't move in either direction, and slowly forces him back and out. Great work on his part. Abi 1-3-5 with that messed up back comes in against Yoshinofuji at 4-5. This is another first meeting here, and this one was bizarre to me. They come together off the Tachiai, and Yoshinofuji just bounces off of him, loses a foot, and falls down. It's so strange. I didn't see Abi hit him all that hard. It seems like Yoshinofuji just sort of exploded. So I guess Abi gets a second win, even though he's already got a losing score. Chirano Umi at 3-6 comes up against Atamifuji at 5-4. I mean, this is just straightforward. I hate to call it boring sumo, but this is just the big man standing up, moving forward, and marching a guy out. Easy size differential win for Atamifuji. Quick one. Kirishima at 8-1 comes up against Takanosho 7-2. Now, Takanosho was 7-1 yesterday before he got dropped by Hoshoryu. Takanosho also holds the historical record 14-5 against him. He's trying to play spoiler, bring Kirishima back down to earth on his second Ozeki run here. He comes forward, hits hard, and then tries to slap down Kirishima, who manages to kind of dodge and escape. And then when Takanosho comes forward for the second attack, he turns and slaps him down. So great work on his part. He stays as part of the leader pack with Gonoyama at 9-1. Next up, Oho at 3-6 comes up against Takayasu, who is at 6-3. Now, Takayasu tried to get a right outside grip. Oho came in and tried to grab him and do a little hug and chug, which Takayasu survived at the edge and then turned and pulled and reversed it into a Watanage right at the edge. But the Gyoji pointed towards Oho for the win. So Monoi's called. They show the video. It was... I will say it's close. In my opinion, Oho's elbow clearly hits the ground before Takayasu steps out. They said it happened at the same time. I disagree, but I'm not the judge. So they decide, you know what, we're just going to call it a Torna Oshi. Try it again. So, on the repeat, unfortunately we've seen this happen a lot with Takayasu, but they come crashing together in the middle on the rematch, and Oho easily forces him out. Just a straight charge to the side. So, a fourth win for Oho there. Aonishiki at 4-5 comes up against Hirado Umi at 5-4. Hirado Umi's kissable lips get basically a chance to taste clay. Aonishiki comes forward low, gets a deep outside left, and then uses that leverage to throw a great Uwatanage. So both men are now even at 5-5. Aonishiki looks like he will finish with a kachi-koshi at least, which will take some of the sting out of, unfortunately, ending that Yokozuna run. Daieisho at 4-5 comes up against Kotozakura 5-4. Now, Kotozakura has won 12 of their 21 matches. Daieisho he's a pusher thruster, but he comes forward with a weird body slam that Kotozakura just sort of absorbs, and it seems like Daieisho just didn't really know what to do at that point. He kind of leaned forward to try and start some slapping, and Kotozakura just easily slaps him down to get his sixth win. And finally, our Musumi no Ichiban, the match of the day, Hoshoryu 7-2 versus Wakamoto Haru 2-7. Hoshoryu's been looking in prime form, and Wakamoto Haru has had a terrible basho so far. But Hoshoryu comes firing forward, gets under the right arm, and then easily just drops Waka to the clay, just tips him over, no problem whatsoever at the end. Hoshoryu's now got his 8-2 kachi-koshi. Wakamoto Haru got his make-koshi 2-7. I don't know what's going on with that boy, but I hope he can sort of staunch some of the bleeding and keep himself from sliding too far down the Banzuke. But who knows? Maybe a dip further down the Banzuke to sort of reset against some worse wrestlers might not be the worst thing for him. Anyways, that's day 10. Tomorrow we have day 11. I'll see you at the dohyo. Maple Sumo is a no-plot-only lore production. Check out our other podcasts at noplotonlylore.com.